There was a story this past week that summed up the absolute dysfunction of government. But worse than that, I think, the lengths that government goes to hide information from the people it serves. Jim Brunner over at the Seattle Times had this piece titled, "Washington Prisons Chief Stephen Sinclair was forced out of his job by Governor Inslee, records show." In the piece, Brunner detailed how Governor Inslee wanted Sinclair to step aside, but his office orchestrated an entire charade to make it seem like Sinclair was leaving voluntarily. The governor's office went so far as to carefully plan a series of steps that would take place behind the scenes before the public announcement of Sinclair's departure. One of those steps, according to documents obtained by the Seattle Times, was for Sinclair to inform the governor that he was leaving. Baffling, considering the governor is the one who asked him to leave. Sinclair thought it was odd too. In a notation to the governor's staff, Sinclair wrote, "Why do I need to notify the gov if he is the one who asked me to leave?" A very good question indeed, Mr. Sinclair, but considering that you worked for the state, it's a question you should have known the answer to. And the answer is that half of what our elected leaders do is for show. A planned out performance designed to fool us or to keep information from us. And it's not as if the governor had not been asked directly why Sinclair was leaving. In fact, in April, he was asked point blank, "Did you ask Steve Sinclair to resign?"
I will not give you a direct answer to your question because it's irrelevant at this point.
Actually, it is relevant. And if you really don't believe it's relevant to explain to the public why you're replacing the head of an important government agency, then I'm not sure how to explain that to you. You know, it never ceases to amaze me that politicians have such a hard time being straightforward and honest. Because apparently it's much easier to dodge questions, create an entire fake narrative behind the scenes, force the media to submit a public disclosure request to try to piece everything back together, a public disclosure request that will have to be done by state workers using public funds. Yeah, because that is a great use of everyone's time and money. All of it so the governor didn't have to explain a decision that he made as the governor. A decision that was entirely within his power to make and may very well have been the correct decision. Now, my favorite part of this entire story, and by favorite part I mean the part that makes me want to scream into a pillow, is that after Brunner at the Times found out what happened with Sinclair, the governor's office told him in part, "The governor's office won't have more to say on this." Great. So even after the truth came to light, the governor didn't care to explain his decision to the people who pay his salary. And the sad part is this kind of runaround really isn't all that uncommon for government. They've become accustomed to believing that this is their information to hide. Well, it's not. It belongs to us and it belongs to you. Now, perhaps they did all of this to spare Steve Sinclair the embarrassment of being told to resign, but that's what he signed up for when he took a government job, a job where he works at the pleasure of a politician. If you don't want your job performance subject to public intrigue, then don't take a job where you work for the public. And while we're at it, if you don't want a job where you have to own your decisions, then maybe governor isn't the best job for you.